Millions of years before the first humans ever existed, there was a dramatic upheaval. Continents shifted, temperatures rose, and life on Earth changed forever. It was the beginning of the age of the apes. We'll come to first humans, the epic story of our origins, a journey 30 million years in the making. 30 million years ago, the world was very different. There were no humans yet. Life was marine, or insect. Forests covered the face of the earth. But in the trees lived a new kind of primate with larger brains, longer arms, and shorter bodies. They were apes. Over the next few million years, they would give rise to every ape that has ever lived, including us. But at this point, they didn't know it yet. Among them lived the family that would one day become human. Their story began when an ancient ape decided to have a baby. As she cradled her newborn infant in the warm jungle, she probably felt all the usual emotions of motherhood: joy, fear, hope. Maybe she even named him after the tree where she gave birth. She probably didn't realize she was writing history. Her infant was different. He had a larger brain than other apes, and the beginnings of human characteristics. His name was not John. We don't know what it was, but he became the founding member of our family. His story is important because over the next few million years, his descendants would grow into the genus Homo and eventually become us. And here's why his family was different. See, the ape population at the time was split into two groups. One group stayed largely unchanged. They are the apes we know today. Our family took a different path. They started walking upright, which allowed them to travel long distances and see over the tall grasses. This meant their offspring had a better chance of survival. In fact, this was such a game changer that every single human alive today can trace their lineage back to this one event when our ancestors first stood up on two legs. But being different also comes with challenges. Being upright apes meant our ancestors were more visible to predators. So to protect themselves and their young, they formed groups. They communicated with each other using sounds and gestures, hunted together, cared for the sick, and shared food. Living in groups required advanced social skills. Communicating effectively was crucial, as was cooperating with other members of the group. These skills required a level of intelligence that demanded an even bigger brain. In fact, brain size in our lineage doubled from the size of an average chimpanzee brain to roughly the same size as a gorilla brain. With these skills and bigger brains, our ancestors flourished. They reproduced and spread across Africa. For a while, life was good. But then the continent shifted again, temperatures dropped, and a new ice age began. The forests they depended on disappeared, replaced by savannas full of tall grasses and scattered trees. Once again, life got tough, and only the most adaptable survived. Our ancestors were already using rudimentary tools like stones to crack open nuts and sharp sticks to dig for tubers. Now they needed something better. So they started making spears to hunt animals and more sophisticated tools to process plants. They learned how to control fire, which helped them cook their food, keep predators away, and extend their territory beyond the warm jungle. With fire came the ability to leave the forest and settle in new areas. In fact, humans have been on every continent since the Pleistocene epoch, which began around 2.6 million years ago.
During this time,
the climate fluctuated between warm and cold, and the forests and grasslands continued to compete for space. The ancestors of modern humans flourished during the colder times. Because of another evolutionary advantage, our ancestors had developed the ability to build shelters, which helped them keep out the cold. They also cooperated on bigger projects like building huge communal fires. It's a behavior unique to our species. These advantages helped our ancestors survive several ice ages and spread across the globe. But it also led to competition with other hominins, relatives that shared a common ancestor with us, but evolved differently. Some of these relatives were the Neanderthals, a stocky, muscular species, well adapted to life in cold climates. Others were taller and thinner, better suited for warmer climates. Together, scientists call these species archaic humans. For hundreds of thousands of years, there was a lot of interbreeding between different hominin species, including Homo sapiens. But eventually, Homo sapiens won. By the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago, Homo sapiens were the only surviving human species. Our story is full of dramatic moments like these, big events that feel like turning points in our history. There's the first time our ancestors stood up on two legs, when they left Africa, the development of language, the growth of the brain, the discovery of fire. the creation of tools, the development of agriculture, and so much more. Each of these moments is a huge part of our history, and it's easy to think of them as separate chapters, but that's not how evolution works. Every moment builds on the ones that came before. Each chapter is linked together in a chain that stretches back millions of years. For example, if our ancestors hadn't developed the ability to walk upright, they wouldn't have been able to live in groups. Without the need to cooperate, they wouldn't have had to develop advanced communication skills. Without those skills, they couldn't have hunted together, cared for their young, or shared food. And without those cooperative behaviors, they wouldn't have survived the next million years and eventually become us. So now let's meet our favorite family. Let's follow their story from the first time they walked upright to the first humans. Over the course of this series, we'll use this family to tell our story. We chose this family for a reason. When we talk about evolution, it's easy to forget that it's really about stories. The stories of individual organisms and the families they belonged to. Scientists learn about these stories through DNA, fossils, and other evidence left behind by past creatures. But sometimes these stories are hard to decipher. Scientists debate how and why things happened. Did the Neanderthals go extinct because of climate change? Or because Homo sapiens hunted them to extinction? Did the dinosaurs die out because of an asteroid? Or because of volcanic activity? Did humans evolve from apes? Or did apes evolve from humans? Sometimes science just doesn't have all the answers. That's one of the reasons we're telling our story this way. It helps us remember that evolution is about stories. Real stories that happened to real creatures. Stories that brought us here. And while we may never know all the details, we can be sure of one thing. This story belongs to all of us. Thanks for joining us as we bring you the story of the first humans, a story that began millions of years ago with a small family in the trees. Over the course of the next 20 episodes, we'll explore the major turning points in human history and uncover the groundbreaking scientific discoveries that changed everything we thought we knew about the first humans. We'll meet the Neanderthals, learn how to make stone tools, and discover the secret to controlling fire. We'll find out what caused the first human brains to grow, how our ancestors developed language, and what drove them to leave Africa for the first time. It's a story that's been millions of years in the making, and it's finally time to hear it.